Good evening and welcome to the White Hat Gallery here at SACS. My name is Lucy Brownlee. I'm the drama captain for 2021 and it is my pleasure to be taking you through the exhibition today, The Many Faces of Dr. Collier. Our exhibition is being held on Gadigal country, and before I share our artworks, I want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the Gadigal country and the custodians of whichever country you're viewing this from today. They are the original artists of these lands, and we pay our respect to elders both past, present, and emerging. Especially for this exhibit, we've created the White Hat Gallery here at SACS. Of course, this is a nod to Dr. Collier's physical hat, but what you may not know is that a white hat is a symbol of a virtuous person. How suitable, no? Let's take a look. This is the opening night of our exhibit, so I invite you to sit down, relax, and enjoy the evening. I'll have to ask you to serve your own champagne or lemonade if you're a student. I'll be having lemonade. Thanks, George. Here inside the gallery, we have a number of different curated artworks which were created as part of this exhibition. Firstly, we have the house banners, which were created on the last day of Term 2 as part of Gala Day. Each house was tasked with creating a nod to Dr. Collier in their work. We also have the junior school portraits, which were created by K-6 students in lockdown. Mrs. Daly had the difficult task of choosing just 70 for this exhibition. We'll also capture a glimpse of the painting Dr. Collier and Dr. McGonagall created in a strict 1-minute time limit with only a texture and a piece of paper. Of course, the highlight of this evening is the unveiling of the portrait of Dr. Collier, which was created by Archibald finalist Anne Cape. Anne will share her insight into not only what it was like to paint Dr. Collier, but will also reflect on some of the junior school paintings. I can see Mr. Swivel now. Let's go join him. Good evening, Mr. Swivel.
Oh, hi Lucy, how are you?
Well, thank you. Could you tell us a bit about the house banners and why they're included in the exhibit?
Yeah, sure. Well, Gala Day is a really important tradition of our school. It's been part of our school for over 20 years, and the banner design competition is an integral part of that as well. And each year, each house has to assemble a team of Year 7 to Year 12 students to paint a banner representing their house. And we thought, why not this year, as our outgoing head is finishing up at the school, Dr. Collier, to make the banners about him, about Dr. Collier, as well as a particular character strength which is important to the house. So you'll see each banner now has a representation of both Dr. Collier and a particular character strength.
So how was the competition this year?
Well, the competition was really fun, and I think it was one of the best ever that we've had. And let me talk you through our third place and our second place and our first place. So in third place was York, as you can see over here. And York decided to do Courageous and representing Dr. Collier with DC as a comic. So you can see DC is actually Dr. Collier, the price tag's 2021, and we've got Harley Quinn dressed in York colours crashing through the glass ceiling, and the title is York the Courageous. And we really like this one. It's a bold, fun, exciting, all about what York is all about. And that's why we gave it third place. And in second place we had Westminster, which I really like this shot because it's a great silhouette, and perched at the top is the mascot of Westminster, the panda, the black and white panda, with Dr. Collier's hat on that you can see, his kind of famous little safari hat there. And it's sitting on a whole bunch of books representing knowledge, and each one of those books has a character strength. So it's kind of sitting on a whole bunch of strengths. We think that says a lot about the house, a lot about the school, and it's a fun, colourful, vibrant, well-composed picture, and that's why it won second place. And in first place is Durham House over there. And they were really excited to win this. This is a great picture. It's meant to represent reflection as a character strength. You can see the mirror there, and we can see all the different stained glass windows of the cathedral, but within it we have Aboriginal art, and we have nature of the harbour, as well as the heart of St Andrews, and you can see Dr. Collier right in the middle. So it's pretty complex, colourful, bright, lovely, and sitting Dr. Collier in the cathedral. We thought that was a real winner, so Durham won our house banner competition. But there's some other fantastic banners as well that in other years probably could have won, and are very clever, and we're really proud of our students this year. You should be proud of yourself too, being part of Durham House.
Yes, I'm pretty biased, but our banner was pretty good.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was excellent. Well done.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Swivel.
Sure.
I see Mrs. Daly's over there, so I'm going to go talk about the junior school paintings with
Yeah,
her.
Dr. McGonigal, I need to talk to you about next year's banner competition.
Hello, Lucy.
Hello, Miriam. So I understand you're the teacher overseeing all these portraits. Could you tell me a bit about them?
Yes. All of these portraits have been created by students in the junior school and in Gawara. And the students during online remote learning in lockdown in term 3 were asked to create a portrait of Dr. Collier. And the children actually were delighted to do it. There's a huge amount of respect and enjoyment in that thinking. And the children were given a photo of Dr. Collier and then were shown how to draw a portrait from scratch according to their stage and age. And this is the finished product. Now, of course, this is not all of them. This is about a fifth of the full total of portraits that the children worked on. And as you can see, they represent the work during lockdown in the sense that there might be some hands holding the portrait or a face in there, or maybe you can see the desk where the work was done. So they're amateur photographers taking an image of their work and uploading it at the end of the process.
So can you take me through some of the standouts of this exhibition?
I'd love to, Lucy. So Lucy, this is BJ's work in Year 2 in Gawara, and BJ has used the template that we worked through, how to draw a face mathematically, and seeking to get the eyes sitting on the middle line and the ears just above, and the face is beautifully symmetrical, or beautifully mathematically proportioned and generally symmetrical. And BJ has started to use those proportions very well. And then he shows where the neck comes in and the shoulders, and there's a tie there. And I love the hair on this one. That's really beautifully done. But that little raised eyebrow and the frown line above is just perfectly Dr. Collier. And the glasses slightly tilted to one side. BJ has looked at that carefully. I think that's a lovely piece of work from a Year 2 student. And Lucy, here we have Tennille's work. Tennille is in Year 3. And Tennille, you can probably even see the faint lines. She's done her mathematical structure very carefully, and she's put her eyes right in the middle there and made sure that things sit virtually symmetrical. She's measured down her halves. She's been very careful about that. And what we can see here is a portrait of a person who's not as young as Tennille is. So she's marked the face with some lines, which is very cleverly done. She looked at the photo carefully to work out where to put those. But she's also created a texture in the hair, sort of brown mixed in there, very nicely done with paint and pastel. And underneath here, where the chin comes around, she's managed to create a sense of depth of 3D, and also she's with her 3D and texturizing effect on the shirt. It looks dynamic, it's not flat, and allows the tie to pop out. What I think is also lovely is it's very strong, and that probably comes from the glasses there and the eyes. She's really created a lovely piece of work, very mature for a Year 3 student. And Lucy, this is a piece of work by Collier in Year 4. And if you look carefully at this, you can see this is very cleverly shaded across the face. The tones of the skin are very nicely blended. It's got a very natural look about it. And where the pencil lines show the frown lines and across the facial lines at the bottom there, she's carefully marked them without losing the texture underneath. And the hair colour is very nicely blended in. What is also lovely about that is she's used something on the eye socket and put the glasses just at the top of the eyes with the raised eyebrow and the sense of the eyes, the glasses just moving off the eyes there. We're beginning to get a sense of the neck being a different aspect to the face, and then the shirt is very nicely done with the patterning, and then the lovely pop out of the Gawara tie that Dr. Collier is wearing. And there are subtle details in the badge, and in Dr. Collier's ears. She spent a lot of time being very careful with detail on that. It's a lovely piece of work from Collier in Year 4. Lucy, this piece of work here is an appropriate ending piece. This is a piece of work by Antonia in Year 6, and Antonia has a very particular style. She loves drawing in this way, and she's done very careful, pointed pencil work, and it's very beautiful.
Yes.
And in fact, Clementine, who is Dr. Collier's granddaughter, thought that this was the best representation of her grandfather. And Dr. Collier also mentioned it as something that he liked as well. So this is a very special piece of work to end on. And you'll notice that very carefully the glasses have been tilted to one side, down on that side, up on that side, and the eyes are just below the top bar of the frames. And that's very well observed. It's hard to get those things right. Many of us will put the eyes in the middle of the glasses, but Antonia, this young artist, has managed to do that very well. And the smile and the head are just again slightly tilted to one side, so you can see that the neck and the chin there come down more closely than on that side. It's a very clever little tactic that she's used, and it works brilliantly. It's a very mature piece of work.
Well, thank you so much for showing us around today, Miriam.
That's a pleasure. It's been lovely, Lucy.
Obviously, the motivation for tonight's event is the opportunity to unveil the portrait of Dr. Collier. Our Association of Parents and Friends decided they wanted to gift the school a portrait of Dr. Collier, but they wanted one to reflect his personality and warmth. They were delighted when award-winning artist Anne Cape decided to take on the challenge. Anne Cape is a painter, an artist, and an art teacher. She has been on the Australian art scene for over 25 years and has been featured in museums, galleries, and exhibitions. She has been a finalist in the Archibald numerous times, including this year for her painting Odd Little Bird, which features Sam, Cam, and Penguin Bloom. She is generous and warm and was interviewed for this evening to talk about what it was like to paint Dr. Collier and to reflect on some of the junior school paintings. Take a look.
Well, my name is Anne Cape, and I had the privilege of painting your headmaster, Dr. Collier, which was, I have to say, a very enjoyable experience. It was a rewarding experience, I have to say, because I didn't know a lot about him. I hadn't met him before. So I went to his office, and he was very generous with his time, but he was obviously a very busy man. So it was nice to have quite a bit of time, and we just talked. And I watched his body language, how he moved, how he sat, how he placed what he did with his hands, his head. And he talked about himself and about some physical issues, which gave me a sense of him as well. And I think that's, body language is an important thing as well. How someone sits, whether they fold their arms, where they put their hands, or whether they use their hands to talk with. You look out for those little clues. So we had quite a bit of time talking and finding out about the school and his passion for the school. That's all important. And what he'd done with the school. And it was pretty impressive, I have to say, I thought. And he's such a lovely, warm man. He's got such a lovely personality. And as I said, he was obviously a very busy man. So he then had to do some work with his secretary. So I asked if I could stay and just draw him while he was working with his secretary and get more of a feel of how he operated and how he projected himself. And that was very valuable too, to have him relating to someone else in the room, and I could be the observer. And apart from listening to how he presented things and his attitude on things, it was just how he physically presented as well. So I had quite a bit of time with him. It's never enough, but one is always conscious of how busy these people are. So I did a lot of drawings in his office, quite a lot, and notes and things like that, and took some photographs. And I was impressed by the work that his wife had done on the wall. There's the most exquisite tapestry that his wife has done. And obviously that was very important to him. And he has a very good relationship, good family relationship. And I could see that was all part of the fabric of his life, literally. Bad pun. It was quite a nice foil, just compositionally, to include that tapestry. I didn't quite know how it was going to work. And then once I'd started, I thought, why did I decide to do this? Because it was so complicated. And I didn't want to put a lot of detail in that tapestry. I wanted to infer it, show what it was. But at the same time, if I'd focused on it too much, it would have taken away from the focus of the painting, which is Dr. Collier's head and his face and his as portrait. So, but it was quite a nice angular thing to include in the composition, which was a contrast to the way the face and the rest of the portrait was painted. And as I said, it also said something about him, his relationships and his life. So that was nice to have that come together. Oh, that's wonderful. He does look very severe in this one, I have to say. He's got a sort of half smile. And once again, I think I like the sense of design in the background, because it's very difficult painting a man in a suit. I have to say it's not the most exciting thing to be presented with. So you need to find some device. And I think it's quite clever that this one's put that geometric design, once again, in the background, also mirrored in the tie, which is interesting. And the smile is cute too. I don't see that same smile in his eyes. Often when you are going to if you have to look at what changes a face, if you've got someone smiling, the whole face changes because of the muscles in the face. You have to look at the eyes, the shape of the eyes will change, so that, if you've got, the bottom of the eyelid will rise up a bit. You notice if you smile at yourself in the mirror, you'll be able to see those sort of things. And even if it's just a tiny, tiny little inference, it makes a big difference. Because the expression in his eyes there looks like he's intensely concentrating, I have to say, but it doesn't mirror the smile on his face. It's a very good attempt. Oh, no. I just love the way most of the children, pretty much all of them, have given him such a lovely smile. It's an indication of how lovely he is with the children. And this one's the best smile ever. These are very expressive eyebrows, of course, certainly the raised eyebrow. Often as people get older, the eyebrows become a little less significant. I guess they fade or they go grey or whatever. But they can be very important as a tool for expression on a face. And this eyebrow certainly gives the face a lot of pizzazz, a lot of life in the expression. Has contrasted the stripes on the suit and the colour and the pattern on the tie. And it's great effort. It's got real personality, this one. Well done, Barney. Oh, that's wonderful. I love it. Oh, that is so cute. I love the eyes. I love the fact that obviously they're looking up at him. He's towering above them, I'd say. And I love that. The whole composition's terrific. The way it recedes up into the stratosphere as he would to a young child. And the way he's earnestly looking down at them with his eyes. That's beautiful. Congratulations. Even the collar on the shirt, I love the way you've done that. And the suit is always difficult, but you've made it look really interesting. The way it all adds to that feeling of moving up into the heights and above you. And he's got such a lovely, interested look, the way he's obviously looking down and relating to the artist. And I like the way he's gone and drawn things. He hasn't fiddled with things so much. I think you've just gone in and put it down as it is, as you see it. And I think that's great. I think James is my favourite. It's such character.
Really
but
good.
all these paintings, I think, show a great fondness and respect for Dr. Collier, and I think he'll be absolutely thrilled when he sees them, if he hasn't already. I think you've done him proud. Owning their craft. That's can be a very complicated question. I think drawing portraits, for me anyway, I don't know there's any particular reason why I do it, except that I like to do it. I like the challenge. It's just a passion that I do. But I think the best advice for any artist would be to just draw people, draw yourself. I can remember one of the art schools when my son went to a college one year, and one of the first projects they had to do was to draw 60 self-portraits. So, and I think you can learn a lot from trying to work out different ways of drawing yourself. So, don't worry about looking for someone to paint. You've always got your own face to draw. Look up at the mirror, look down at the mirror, look sideways at the mirror, try different materials, all sorts of things, and do it 60 times. And I reckon you'll learn an awful lot from that. I think just do it.
Yeah.
And have fun doing it. If anything becomes laborious, I always think if you have to struggle with something and fiddle with it, if it's boring to do, well, I always think it's boring to look at. So you need to have fun. You need to enjoy what you do. And I'm sure the results will reflect that.
Now, for those of you who tuned into Talking Heads last week, this is the moment you've been waiting for. Dr. Collier and Dr. McGonagall, with no prior warning, were asked to draw Dr. Collier in 60 seconds. I have the portraits hanging right next to me, and I thought it might be fun to invite Mrs. Daly back to hear her thoughts on the artwork.
Well, Lucy, two very interesting exhibits to the Many Faces of Dr. Collier exhibition, and particularly this one by Dr. Collier himself. And I'm looking at the hat. That's the first exhibit that we've had that has put a hat on Dr. Collier. And I noticed too that the ears are accentuated, perhaps very good for listening. And I noticed too that Dr. Collier has one weak knee here. Maybe that represents how he feels at certain times. And the hands, perfect for lots of writing, which no doubt he's going to become even more refined at in the next years. So a very interesting piece of work with its own avant-garde style. Thank you, Dr. Collier. Very nice. And this one by Dr. McGonagall, a portrait of Dr. Collier. Well, that's filling the frame, and we can see the eyes have been elevated up to the top, near the head, in the forehead, the hair swept to one side, and the glasses are little pincer glasses that Dr. Collier can look down on. That makes it for a fun caricature feel. And I noticed too that I think Dr. McGonagall ran out of time for an ear or two there, and that lovely shading underneath the chin. It's got character. That to me is something that we might see in a everyday newspaper. It's just lovely. Thank you very much.
So we are now close to the unveiling of the portrait, but before we do that, there are many thank yous to say for putting on this amazing exhibition tonight. First of all, to the P&F for their amazing generosity in commissioning this stunning portrait. Also to Anne Cape, who has been such a joy for everyone to work with and has been so generous in her time, not only in making this evening a success, but also reflecting on some of the junior school paintings. We'd like to thank Mr. Brad Swibble, who took us through the banners today, and we'd also like to thank Dr. Collier and Dr. McGonigal, who have been such great sports about their contribution to the exhibition. To Mrs. Miriam Daly, who curated a major part of this exhibition, the junior school paintings. She has spent hours teaching, scanning, printing, framing, and curating. Thank you to everyone who have put the portraits up today and who will have to take them down for the IB exams, including Cliff Zimmerman from TAS, Miriam Daly, and all the After Hours team. We'd like to thank the marketing team for creating such a beautiful artwork for their advertising, and also to the community engagement team, who have turned a physical event into a virtual one so everyone can enjoy it. A special thank you to Zach Simpson, who is putting tonight's production together. Now it is time to unveil the portrait. Here's Dr. Collier. So I understand, Dr. Collier, that you and Mrs. Collier have already seen the portrait. What do you think of it?
We were given a short preview, Lucy, and it looks wonderful. I recognised myself. In fact, I think it actually looks better than me. It's an improvement on real life, which is as much as one can ever ask for, really, from an artist.
And what was it like sitting for your portrait?
Well, it was a bit strange. I'm not used to being the centre of attention in that respect and normally shy away from that, but Anne, the artist, made me very comfortable by either just painting and letting me get on with my paintwork so I forgot she was there, or otherwise engaging in pleasant banter, so she put me at ease in a very nice way.
And have you ever been painted before?
Well, my grandchildren have painted me, and I have kept their portraits as prized possessions. They captured me, of course, at a point in time, but that's the only previous time I've been thought worthy of being painted.
Right. Okay, so in your opinion, where do you think we should hang this portrait?
I think on the staff dartboard is probably the best place. I expect that wherever it's put initially, it might end up there.
Right.
So let's just be done with it and go there to begin with.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Since we're not talking anymore, we've put our mask back on, but it is now time to unveil the portrait.
It's better than real